All right, awesome. Thanks everyone for coming. We got a nice turnout here, a little bit more than I expected even, so it's good to see all of you. My name is Adam Reiser. I am the sales director for the US for Open Data Soft. I'm joined by Macarena Gonzalez, who is a customer success manager for us, working with state and local government. So we're Open Data Soft. We're headquartered here in Boston, the United States, as well as in Paris, as you can tell by the date on our slides here. Unfortunately, it's not August 3rd. So today, we're going to be talking about joining geographic data with non-geo data in open data portals. So we'll start off, give a little bit more of an introduction about, who are we to be able to talk about this, right? Who's ODS? We'll go into definition of open data a little bit and why it makes sense to combine geo and non-geo data. And then we will take a look actually at a few of our client portals and see what they're doing with their geographic data on their open data portals. So Open Data Soft was founded a little over a decade ago, really with the belief of data democratization for everyone. And we've grown pretty quickly. We're over 100 employees worldwide, and we've worked on over 2,000 data projects across the globe. Have clients, across the United States. Nice concentration here in North Carolina. We're working with the town of Kerry, the town of Morrisville, and at the state level, we work with the court system as well as the Office of State Budget and Management. So what we offer is an all-in-one platform for your open data portal. So it allows you to take all your data from all your different sources, bring it into one place, process it, create maps, create charts, create tables, visualizations, and then share it out either publicly or interdepartmentally within your organization. So actually, quick show of hands, how many people here have open data portals for their organization? Wow, awesome. That's great to see. So you are all too familiar with what the definition of open data is. So you might think, okay, open data, it's just data that I'm putting out there for free. That's not quite it. The other part of that is making sure it's licensed to be reusable, right? So not only are you making this data available publicly, but you're making sure anyone who does access it has the ability to reuse it freely. And that's what truly open data is. So there's tons and tons and tons of different types of data, obviously. If you're a city, you might have economic data, budget data, housing data, demographics data. And then I'm sure all of you also have some sort of GIS platform. Right, so you have that GIS data, be it ArcGIS or another platform, where oftentimes that data is living separately. And there's tons of benefit in bringing it all together in one spot. So most of our clients are typically using their open data portals for one of two purposes. So first of which being that obviously transparency, accountability, you're sharing the data and making it available to all. Anyone can come in and see and be able to trust your organization. The second use case, a little less common within government, is that self-service utilization. So that interdepartmental data sharing functionality where oftentimes, especially if we're talking about GIS data, it's siloed. It's stuck in ArcGIS and not being used across departments. So there's a million reasons why you might want to do this, but we have a 20-minute presentation to give. So there's three main reasons why you'd want to make that connection and have all your data in one place. So the first of which is ease of access, right? So if your data is in ArcGIS, not everyone in your entire organization knows how to use that platform, right? It can be a little tricky to navigate and manipulate and find it the way you want. If you bring it all in one spot, all into your open data portal, which is oftentimes a much easier, more intuitive interface, and also kind of combine it into dashboards and reports using various business intelligence tools. You're making it more accessible for the everyday user, both publicly and internally, to access. Once you have that data available, and these people who previously weren't seeing it, didn't even know it existed maybe, are able to access it and understand it in a better context, it opens up a lot of opportunities for improved collaboration, potentially both with external source or external departments or internally within the organization. So publishing that geodata along with regular data publicly might allow engineering firms or nonprofits to come in and see, oh, hey, look at all this that's available together. This is an area that we really could focus on and collaborate with the city, with the town on. Also internally, right? If we had a really interesting use case with one of our clients in California, the city of Long Beach, their open data portal is managed by their IT department. One of the things they publish on the portal is a map of all of their 311 requests for the city. Their public works department put out an RFP for almost exactly the same thing because they weren't aware that cross-department functionality. They were looking to create a 311 request map without realizing that their IT department had already done something like that. So taking your data sources and emphasizing, hey, everything is available here in one spot, really opens up those opportunities for innovation within your department. So I know you might be thinking this could be complicated, right? We have a lot of data. How do we just move it from one spot to another? It's actually a lot less complicated than you think. A lot of the open data platforms out there will allow you to directly pull in that data. For us at Open Data Soft, it's as simple as just taking that ArcGIS dataset identifier and connecting it this way to pull that data into our platform. So it's not this huge complicated process. It's not going to take you, months of work to navigate and redo all the schema and all that kind of stuff. You can directly pull it into the platform with just a simple link. And now I'm going to hand it over to Macarena to actually demonstrate a few of our portals for you guys and show you some of these practical use cases.
Great. Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. So the idea now is to show you actual data experience, how we have combined geo and not geo data to create user-friendly data experiences for our users, not only within the city government, but also for citizens. So here we're taking 3 cases from our clients here in North Carolina. 2 are from town of Kerry, and 1 is from our clients OSBM. So we're going to go into the first one. If I click here, I should click on allowed, I guess. So give me a second. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So what we have here is what we call the format of a data story. For us, it's very important not only to display or showcase the data that we have available in a map, in a chart, in a KPI, but also to tell a story with it, which is what we were talking about this morning. So here, the town of Kerry, they have developed a data story for the building permits in the city. They call it the Open Data Building Permit Dashboard. And as you can see here, they start by telling a little bit what's like the story of town of Kerry, why is it important to share this information, and what kind of information we're going to find here. Then we go into the data, and we see what's called the annual permit activity. Here we can find some KPIs. You can filter by the year that you're interested in. For example, if we click on 2021, and we have 3 different KPIs that are shown to us. And to make it more user-friendly, you can actually click on the KPIs and see, and see how they are measured and what they represent. So the idea is to make this accessible for all citizens. Then, for example, if we go into data visualizations, we can also create charts. Here, for example, we have the permits overview. You can have a permits overview by status, meaning that you have here 3 statuses. You can filter by permit overview, or you can only see a chart with the single trade permits. So it's quite interactive, quite easy to use. And as you can see here, you're always going to have access to what's called the data source. We're going to check it later, but the idea is for the user to see what you can do with the data, but afterwards, if they want to go further, if they want to explore the data themselves, they can do it and go into the data source. And finally, we go what interests us here, which is the geodata. So the idea that they did here in town of Kerry was to create a map showing where are located the different building permits in the city. Here you see if they are in blue means that it's a residential permit, and if it's in red, it's a non-residential. But furthermore, you can, for example, tap here an address. We're going to put Brisbane. And it's already going to filter what are the permits that are located in an area that has the name of Brisbane. Of course, if you are from town of Kerry, if you know exactly the address you're looking for, this is an easy way to actually locate a permit that may be treated or may be in course right now. So here, if I delete this, I'm going to have all my permits again. And I can also filter directly in the map to see exactly where this particular permit is located. Here I have some information about it. And if I click here, I'm also going to have information about that particular field. And as I was telling you, if we click here on data source, it's going to take us immediately to the catalog, because in the data portal, you're going to have, of course, the data stories, the data experiences, the visualizations, but you're also going to have your catalog. So the idea is that they are connected to your data visualizations, as I was saying, to allow the user to go further to explore your data. And here we have, for example, a typical data set. Here you have the format of the table format. We also have a map format because it is a data set that contains geodata. Immediately, the system recognizes that it can create a map. It can be with geopoints, but it can also be with geoshapes. And finally, we have the third tab, which is the Analyze tab. And as you can see here, I'm using the portal as a simple user, not an admin or anything, and I can modify the visualizations. And then afterwards, I can share them if I want to. So if we go back to the presentation, I'm sorry. We have a second example, also from town of Kerry. They built what it's called a stormwater monitoring dashboard. Save my choices. So what they did here in the last 3 years, they have been installing different sensors in the city to measure, to try to do a real-time alerting and visualization of rising stormwater levels. And what they created here is a very developed dashboard that allows you to see all the sites where you can find the sensors. And also, for example, you can filter by a different time period that you want to filter the information in. For example, we're going to say we want to see the information from the last 7 days. We're going to pick a site, so it's going to be this one. And immediately, the information of the dashboard is adapted. I can see where the dashboard is located. I can see here the details that only make all these IoT sensor data a little bit more user-friendly, in the sense that you explain to the user what is that sensor, how is it measuring the information, why is it useful, especially for users that are not technical. I'm sorry. Here you have some KPIs corresponding to this particular site in the last 7 days. And then we have some charts that were measured that represent also the data, but in a different format. So the stage and temperatures of the rainwater. So the idea here is to show that you have the data. You can, of course, create a map, but you can also go beyond that. You can tell a story. You can do different visualizations, and you can make all that understandable and very user-friendly for your citizens. And the last example that I want to show you, once again, is from our friends from OSBM. So they have created what is called a state comparison dashboard, where they, as you can see here, they try to measure different categories, and they allowed you to see the data by year. What's the measure in the United States in general? What's the data for North Carolina, and where North Carolina stands ranking regarding the other cities? And they have selected 14 categories. But the interesting thing is that if you want to go further, you can, for example, here, filter, And it's going to allow you to compare what's the data in Alabama and what's the data in North Carolina and where North Carolina stands regarding the other states. As you can see, it gives you quite a general yet clear overview of interesting KPIs that for state and local governments are quite important. And then if you want to go further into the data, we can also, here you have view complete state comparison datasets. So if we click, for example, here, again, it's going to take us to their catalog, and we're going to see the data set. We're going to be able, again, to filter by state. And as I showed you, you're going to be able to see the table format that we're seeing right now, an analyzed format. They have actually created a custom view, or if I select here, for example, it shows you, again, the comparison throughout the years. And as I said before, you can also share or embed that information. And as you see, as I showed you before, for example, for town of Kerry, immediately you had the map tab because you had geographical data linked to that particular data set, because the system recognizes immediately that when you have geographical data, you would like to map it. But in this case, we don't have it, or it's really up to the user. The idea is for you understand the needs of your community, you understand what it's important for your citizens, and how it's the clearest way to actually showcase it and display it. So that's what Open Data Stuff allows you to have a portal that is easy to use, at the same time that allows you to take all the advantage and like push the limits of your data. And also, as Adam was saying before, to complement what you have, your geographical data and your non-geographical data all in one place. So thank you very much.
So I think we have plenty of time for questions. Well, feel free to ask away, and hopefully we can answer.
How frequently is data updated? Like the pattern Kerry dashboard, they put data to you guys daily, monthly, quarterly?
It depends on the data set. So there's obviously some data that isn't going to change, too frequently. It might be a yearly change. But there's also things like the rainwater dashboard where that's live data.
So you're getting directly from the item that's receiving the data.
From the sensors.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's live sensor data that's feeding the platform.
And the system also allows you to set up a planifier. So for example, if it's not a sensor, if it's not real-time data, but still is a data source where you would like to have the data every day at 5 p.m., you can set up a planifier depending on your particular data set. That's on the configuration of your data set. I don't know if you have any other questions. Yeah, sure. How you can upload it? So it depends what kind of format you have, but basically what Adam was showing here, this is if you would like to connect through a link, a data source to another. But for example, if you have a CSV file, you can also upload it. If you have basically it all happens in this particular window. You select what kind of data format you have, and you can just upload it to your, even if it's a static source or if it's a real-time one.
So taking that kind of a step deeper even, we allow direct uploads to the platform, so taking that flat file, directly uploading it. We allow FTP connections, so if you want to set up an FTP folder and upload data that way. We also do have direct third-party integrations. So if you're using AWS and you want to directly tie that data into the platform, you can do it that way. We have connections with Google Drive, SharePoint. We have a direct census data connector, which I know is super important at the state level for everyone, but also at the local level. So, again, personally, these are just the connectors that we have. If you're looking to do this on any type of open data portal, I'd obviously suggest talking to your provider, but really try to make it as easy as possible to get the data onto the platform. Sure.
You have an Excel file or a CSV that has an address. Does it have to be previously geolocated, or is that something the service does itself?
You mean geocoding the address? So yes, you can set up a geocoder. I think it really depends on what particular address you have on your data set. But yes, you can, for example, we have different kinds of processors that allow you to get the data in there and work with it. You can, for example, create a geo-join, which means that you have a data set that doesn't have geo data, and you're gonna join it with a data set that does have. So finally, you have your statistical data and your geographical data on the same data set, and you can create like way better visualizations. But yeah, it's definitely something you can do. You can concatenate different fields to create the address if that's necessary. But we do all that through processors. We have around 50 processors that allow you to manipulate your data within the platform.
Sure.
Sorry, I missed the first part. So, what kind of data we can use? It's tabular data or spatial data for this one?
So the idea is both, right? So the idea is that you want to have a data portal that combines your tabular data and spatial data in one portal, making it easily accessible to all your users. No. So the idea with an open data portal, right, is that this data is available publicly. You don't need to have a login. Anyone can go in and access it, and just like Macarena was showing off, can go in and make visualizations and analyze the data. If this, however, is maybe something you're doing interdepartmentally within your organization, and you don't necessarily want to make that data public, but you want to make it available for, I don't know, the finance department for some reason, and you're in, the GIS department. You could set up potentially a password-protected portal that only they can access.
Is it free or do we have to pay for this?
So yeah, so our clients, they pay for the platform. You could certainly go to any of our clients' open data portals and use it for free. But this is something that our clients are paying for.
Just curious how you integrate existing metadata into the data that you present in your platform.
Sure. Do you actually want to go to a data set and show off the schema?
Give me a second.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to this one.
So we'll pull up a data set here to actually show you what the metadata looks like on one. So here's their stormwater.
No, sorry,
Oh,
I'm going
go
to
back. Just go to the catalog
catalog,
and just pick a
yeah.
random data set, I suppose. All right, so on the information section of the table here, you'll show the metadata in the schema for that, as well as data definitions. We allow, through our management API, the bulk edit of metadata. So if you're uploading, multiple data sets and you need these changes to be made, across a wide variety of data, it would be done through our management API.
And for example, also the idea is, because most of our clients are doing open data, and we work with a lot of local governments, is that we have a network of clients that they can share and federate data sets between them. So the idea is also to create that connection between clients. And when you federate a data set, for example, from a state level to a local level, that data set is federated not only with the data, but also the metadata. So you're going to have all the information necessary, and if there's something that needs to be modified, it can be modified. But you federate the data and the metadata.
Awesome. I think we have time for one more question.
Could you quick the API, please?
Yeah, sure. Yep, so on our platform, we give our clients the capability to allow direct API endpoint access for anyone coming to the portal. Yeah.
Thank you. On the data upload, is the data going to a database or what kinds of data format in that?
It can be varied, right? So you can, like we took a look at the ArcGIS specific connection, right? So that's just a URL that you're plugging in to pull the data in. If you want to upload the data directly as a flat file, that can be done. If you're using S3, right, you can configure that connection to your AWS configuration as well.
But if, for example, when you're using the API, usually the format, you do the query, and it's usually a JSON format. So, yeah. And then you can open, for example, you have your query on a JSON format. You can also put that link into the platform, and it's going to create a data set.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone,
Thank you.
for attending and all your questions.